Hello Internet, and welcome to my review for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, episode 88. When we last left our heroes, Boruto, Sarada, and Chosho had a kick-ass fight against Kako that ended in Kako running out of juice right as he was about to kill Boruto. So good. Such a good fight last week. Meanwhile, Kirara genjutsu'd Inojin and captured the rest of our heroes. Along with Onoki, or finding Onoki, not really capturing Onoki, taking them all back to Stone Village HQ. That's where we start this week's episode. Before we go any further, just a reminder, I have my 2019 Winter Anime Review Straw Poll. That ends in another 9 days on the morning of the 15th. That'll be up, and you'll know what my videos are. At the moment, it's looking like it's going to be Promise Neverland and Mob Psycho 100. But if you don't want it to be that, then go fill out the form and let it not be that. If you want it to be that, then you can vote for those and give it a bit of a nice buffer. Anyway, moving on to the episode itself. At the start, the gang reaches the Stone Village, and Onoki lays witness to the, field of scattered weapons that the fabrications have, left in the wake of their takeover. And finally, Onoki has to deal with what his creations have done. You know, Onoki has spent all this time being like, oh, they're perfectly peaceful, you know, they're here to help people, the only reason they were after you is because you're trying to stop the plan. And finally, Onoki has to have his eyes open to what's actually been going on, that they are not as peaceful as he imagines them to be. And that leads to our first great scene of the night, the confrontation between Ku and Onoki, which is exactly what I've been predicting for weeks. Ku is valuing his survival over Onoki's plan, and Onoki just cannot bring himself to go along with it. He tells Ku straight up, you can't, Ku's like, we need to kill these 4 shinobi for the 4 of us who are left so we can have their hearts and, be real boys. And Onoki is like, no, I'll find another way, you're not doing that. And so Ku takes the action his character arc has always been leading to, taking out Onoki as the main villain. Now it looks like Onoki is probably going to be imprisoned when next we see him, and might even turn on the fabrications. And it looks like Ku is going to be the real main villain. I'm still not sure if they're going to kill off Onoki this arc. They might. Boruto has been big on having his anime kind of stand alone and not really follow the basic rules of filler, where nothing important ever happens. So they might actually just kill Onoki off and show how important the filler arcs are. Or he might survive and redeem himself. Redemption is very much a big Naruto theme, so either way is possible, I'm not quite sure. But either way, Onoki is the main, or not Onoki, Ku is the main villain now. And as Ku's first act of main villainy, he has the Akuda go to execute our 4 captured heroes, and then Shikadai comes in clutch to save his friends with an exploding kunai that creates just enough of a smokescreen for our guys to escape, where Shikadai frees them from their ropes and tries to get them out of the village so they can go and, tell people what's going on some more. Before they can do that, though, Kokuyou shows up. Yeah, y'all ain't doing that. So Team 10 stays to stall him, and Shikadai tells Boruto and Sarada to just go after Mitsuki in the fabrication's hideout. And this was kind of the one thing that was kind of weird to me, because I don't think Boruto knows where the fabrication's hideout is. He wasn't there for that. He's never been there. But still, it does set the scene for some Ino-Shika-Cho action, which this episode delivers in spades. Also, doesn't even matter that Boruto does not know where Mitsuki is, because on his way to try to find it, he and Sarada get stopped by Kirara, who quickly puts them in some genjutsu. That's really all we really get from them this episode. By the end, we find out that they're tied up, or they're unable to move with some kind of doll-based genjutsu. But yeah. Anyway, before we get to the fight itself, we do find out that my boy Akkun was just kind of abandoned outside the cave. I guess Kirara didn't really think he was important enough to kill. But that'll be important when the episode breaks my heart later on. Before then, the good things. So I've said a lot about Boruto in general, both the manga and the past couple episodes of this arc. That unlike Naruto, that kind of evolved into Dragon Ball Z style laser beam clash. Um, Boruto's been very good about having like tactics and like actual like strategy to the fights. And this fight is another great use of tactics as how does it start? As both Ino-Jin and Shikadai are trying to like distract him from long range attacks while Cho-Cho gets up in his face. The initial strategy does not work. And also seeing Shikadai go out of his comfort zone and like abandon tactics, because Shikadai's like not a close combat fighter at all. But go out of his comfort zone to engage in a close combat fight with Kokuyou to like save his friends and help them escape is great. But it turns out he's not actually helping them escape. He's setting up another strategy, because this episode has some great fucking tactics in it. As Kokuyou quickly learns that Shikadai needs some kind of light in order to use his shadow paralysis. He does not do possession. Something that's always bothered me about Shikadai is he does not do the shadow possession jutsu that made Shikamaru so much fun in part 1. He uses shadow paralysis, where he just stops them from moving. It's a pain. I'm not a big fan of it, but whatever. Anyway, so Kokuyou takes out the lights in the cavern, and he thinks he's got, Shikadai right where he wants him, and then Shikadai reveals that he's had Ino-Jin use some of his, like, ink birds to cover one of the lights, so that Kokuyou did not know it was there, so that he gets another light to use the shadow paralysis, on Kokuyou. It's great. But then we leave our intrepid heroes for a little while to find out that Konohamaru is still around. He's doing stuff, he's made his way into the fabrication hideout. He's seen the Akuta being created, and then he finds Mitsuki. And this is the first time they've met since Konohamaru found out who Mitsuki really is. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with them, now that Konohamaru knows that Mitsuki's dad killed his granddad. But that'll be a later episode. That will not be this episode, because now we need to finish that fight with Kokuyou. The way we first start to go about it is the mind transfer. Boruto's, with the exception of Sarada, Boruto has had a bit of a problem with each child only really taking on one aspect of their parents' jutsu. That one-off filler episode back like episode 40 or so, where Ino-Jin tries to learn the mind transfer jutsu, is really the only time we've seen that, where a child tries to take after both parents, except for Sarada, of course, who has both her mother's super strength and Sharingan. So yeah, we're starting to see some more of that kind of taking after both their parents. We still have not seen Shikadai do like wind jutsu, or Cho-Cho do whatever Karui's jutsu was. I don't remember that. Anyway. So finally, we got some follow-up to that episode, where Ino-Jin briefly tried to learn the mind transfer. Unfortunately, he's still just not very good at it. He gets Kokuyou for a little while, but it does not actually do any damage, or he breaks free before Cho-Cho is able to actually hit him, which is probably for the better, because if you'll recall, way back in the tuning exams, Naruto's tuning exams, I should say, it was mentioned that any damage done to a mind-transferred body is also done to the host. Either Ino never taught Ino-Jin that because he didn't get far enough in studying the mind transfer, or they figured that since Kokuyou was pretty much on his last legs at that point, the damage that Cho-Cho would do would not be enough to really seriously injure Ino-Jin. I don't know. Does not matter because it does not hit Kokuyou while Ino-Jin's in his body. Though I will say, that the mind transfer does end up tying into the overall theme of the arc about how the fabrications are people too. As Shikadai reveals to Kokuyou at the end, that the mind transfer has to do with Ino-Jin taking over his heart, which means he must have a heart. Because Ino-Jin mentions briefly that he's not sure it would even work on Kokuyou, and it's because of that heart thing. Before that can happen, though, Kokuyou comes to finish Ino-Jin off, so that Ino-Jin cannot get another mind transfer jutsu off on him, when suddenly Akkun saves the day, distracting Kokuyou just enough for Cho-Cho to human boulder him, killing Kokuyou in the process. But while that happens, Kokuyou also lands a crippling death blow to Akkun, who dies in Inojine's arms, saying Inojine's name as he dies. Full disclosure, I had gotten Akkun's death spoiled. I did not know what happened like that. When Akkun said Inojine's name, I just started I was like a fucking crying mess. It was awful. I loved it. It was so good. And then Inojin has the whole speech about how Akkun was such an idiot, trying to hide how much he loves that damn Akuda. You know. So yeah, we are suing Studio Pierrot for emotional damages, friends. That is what we are doing. They will get their every last dollar sued out of them, because God, that hurt. Fucking hurt. Poor Akkun. Poor Akkun. And then, of course, we have to end on another cliffhanger with Kirara having frozen Boruto and Sarada. And that takes us to the credits. Since we have a new ending, I'll talk about that real briefly. The new ending is alright. You know, the video doesn't seem to be giving any hints about what's to come after this arc, though we did learn this week that there are only 4 episodes left in the arc. Because by February 10th, we will move to the adaptation of Naruto Shinden, which I don't have a lot of experience with, so hoping that's good. But the song is decent, you know. It'll grow on me, I hope. But for now, it's just kind of an alright ending. But yeah, what an episode. You know, I don't personally think the Kokuyou fight is quite as good as the Kako fight. Kako fight was incredible. This was merely really fucking good. But it was still a great fight. You know, had some great strategies with Team 10 overcoming their adversary by their wits and not by their strength, which is something that Boruto as a series has been really good at doing. Both with a big fight in the manga that manga readers will know about. I almost fucking spoiled it. It was a big fucking spoiler. And then with the past few fights in this arc. And then when Akkun said Inojine's name right as he died, oh, y'all know. Y'all know. Okay. So yeah, these last 2 episodes show that whatever your thoughts were on like the beginning of the arc, the end of this arc is going to be one hell of a high note. It's been incredible the past past couple episodes. Certainly, even like the episode before 87 was the last one, yeah. Before the Kako fight was still really good. But yeah, that's all for this week's episode. Next time, Kirara forces Boruto and Sarada to fight each other, and I'm presuming Kirara is going to die next week. That's been the pattern that the arc has been going on for. And Seki seems to be making a return from the Sanju Plains, which makes sense. He showed up once, and it'd be kind of weird if he never showed up again. But yeah, that's really all I have for this week's video. Hope you all enjoyed the episode and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe or fill out that straw poll down below, please. Or, you know, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really care. And as always, people, keep kicking ass, and I'll see you in the future. Bye!